Hello, welcome to this Warboard webinar on using BCF with Warboard. In this webinar, we're going to discuss the BCF workflow and how it works with Warboard. Let's jump into the presentation. So a couple of slides and then about what is BCF, and then we'll jump straight into the software. So BCF stands for BIM Collaboration Format, or some people call it Building Collaboration Format. And the BIM collaboration format, BCF, is an open file-based XML for workflows between different BIM processes. What this means in the context of Warboard is it's a way to find issues, not find issues, but export issues from a piece of software, and I'll explain what an issue is in a second, and import those issues into another piece of software, and not only import them back in but also back out, so you can kind of round trip issues across different platforms for issue management. So what this means is you could use a piece of software like Solibri to go and do a lot of clash detection and find problems. You can then export those issues into a platform like Warboard, where people can manage the issues, track them, comment on them, assign them to people, all on the cloud, and then you can export that back out as a BCF and share that around the design team, and the architect could use that to load it into Revit to view those issues in context with the comments. You could load them back into Solibri to view those issues. So regardless of what software someone's using, it's a way to kind of transfer these issues between different platforms and round trip the data. I'm going to do a live example of it, so it'll be a bit more clearer if you don't know what BCF is when we get into it. One of the important things to understand is some software has BCF support natively built in. Mostly the software that supports the Open BIM initiative, which are software like Solibri, ArchiCAD, Tekla, Vectorworks, etc. So now in those pieces of software, you can actually export and import BCF files built in. You don't need any plugins or any other way of doing it. And then you've got other software, and if I'm honest, mainly the Autodesk products, where BCF isn't supported out the box, but there's lots, and I mean lots and lots of third-party plugins for BCF for things like Revit and Navisworks. I'll show you one today, a free one called BCF Fire, which does that. But regardless of what software you're using, I'm 99.9% sure there will be a BCF support either natively or by a plugin. So now we're going to jump into the live demo. So what I'm going to do is open up Solibri, and what we're going to do in Solibri is we're going to go and find some issues in this model. So we've got this model here, and this isn't a Solibri training video, but I'm going to show you very quickly how to run some clash detection, how to find the issues, and how to create a BCF of those issues in here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to turn this architecture off because I want to slim my model down. But there's quite a bit of kit in this. So the clash we're going to do here is structure versus MEP. So what I'm going to go do is go into my checking dialog, and the first thing I'm going to do is make sure all them are turned off, which they are, and I'm going to go and load in my rule set for clash detection. And I'm going to go MEP models versus structural models, and these are built in the default rules which ship with Solibri. So I'm going to open that up, click OK, and what you'll see is they appear now up here. Now what I'm going to do for the purpose of this demo, because we don't want to be sitting for hours, I'm going to go and disable this one, distance between components. I'm just going to disable the insulation clashes. So all we actually, and I'll disable this one and all. So all we're going to do here is clash building services against beams and columns, which is a nice, easy, simple clash rule. Just to show you this, if I go into rule parameters, there's the rules about kind of the tolerances, etc. And again, you can go into very much detail about kind of how the actual rule detects that problem. So you can put kind of, what we'll do on here is we'll knock this up a bit just to pull out only the kind of major issues. I think we'll put 20 mil. So we've done that. So now we're ready to run our clash detection. And what we're going to do is just click check. I click check anywhere. And you'll see a progress bar go along and it'll find all those issues. And you can see it ticking away down here, actually generating those issues. This will take you a couple of minutes, depending how many issues there are. So while it's doing that, we'll go into Warboard and create a blank project ready to import this data into. So I'm going to log in as me, warboard.co.uk, and we've now got Warboard open. If you want to know more about the Warboard interface, what it does in more detail, if you check out one of our earlier webinars, it will explain that a bit better. So what I'm going to do now is create a new project, and I'm going to go projects, my projects, and I'm going to go new project, and I'm going to call this BCF web demo Adam Thursday, and I'm going to put a cool demo for the description. This doesn't really matter. I'm just going to, even though it's got Navisworks, it doesn't matter. We're still going to use BCF. And for report style, how our reports are going to look, we're going to pick modern. I'll put a postcode in just so it appears on our dashboard, and click create project. So Warboard will now go and create a blank project here for that. And if I click open, what we presented with is the project dashboard. Now there's no charts, there's no data in here because there's nothing to chart upon. You need to have at least 2 uploads before it'll produce a chart. So what I'm going to do now is upload those issues from Solibri, and Solibri's still churning away, so I'm just going to kind of stop it, and there should be enough issues there for this demo. So while that's churning away, stopping, we'll jump back into Warboard, and I'll just kind of give you a little overview of what a project looks like when it's populated. So if I go back to here, just to burn a bit of time while Solibri chugs away, if I click on open on this project, you can see over time, we can see how the number of resolved issues have risen, which is good. We can see how coordinated the building is. We can see how detailed the project is over time. We can see who's got the most issues assigned to them. We can even generate a report. So if I click view report, you'll get a nice looking report with a full cover page, a status page, a nice index which is hyperlinked, and then you get the full page issues in there, which you can print off to PDF. What you can also do is you can change the style. So if you don't like that report style, if I change that to simple, click update, and then go view report, you'll get a nice simpler style, which actually puts 3 issues per sheet. So it saves paper, saves ink, etc. One last thing, you can also jump back in time. So if I want to go back and view a previous report, we keep the full history in there as well, and you'll see these will update to show that. So now let's go back to the project we created, and hopefully Solibri will be done doing what it's doing. Let's go to the bottom, BCF webinar. So we've got a blank project here. So if we go back to Solibri now, yeah, you can see it's found some issues here. So we can see we've got some reds and some ambers. So if I click on this, and then we click on this, there's the issue. So beams, intersections of beams, blah, blah, blah. So if I click this, we can kind of see the issues in a bit more detail down here. And what we can do is we can actually, so Solibri's now found all the issues. So to actually turn these into what I would call construction issues, what you do is you right click and we can add a slide. And the slide is basically where you can name the clash. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of this default one. I'll put pipe versus beam. Description, this is a pipe clashing. Obviously you'd be a lot more better than me. You could put the status, you can put comments in, etc, etc. But what I've done is there, you'll see it's created a little what's called a slide there. If I go and find some more issues, let's just go and have a look here. Again, sometimes you've got to kind of zoom out a little bit on there. It's the one, I like, look at this one, there's a nice one. So what we can do here is we can kind of go and look at this in context, get a nice view of it. So whatever view's on your screen when you create this slide, We'll just leave the default name in there. We'll just click done. You'll see it's done it. And then we'll go and create one more. Let's have a look down here. It's that one we looked at before. So let's go and look at that. And we'll do that. And what we'll do is here we'll add that as an issue. Now, so we've created issues here. Now, what we need to do now is add these into what called in Solibri what it calls a presentation. So if we now go to communication, create a new presentation. I'm going to call this MEP versus structure, and I'm going to say pull it from the clash checking results. You could create all these manually if you wanted to. You don't have to let Solibri find the issues. You could just zoom in, create a new issue. I'm going to say pull them from the clash results. And what you'll notice is in a couple of seconds, it's now pulled through all those issues into here. And in here you can add comments and do that. But one of the things you can do now is export this out. So if I kind of click on report, we can export this out as a BCF file. So you can say report type BCF2. You can save it as a 1 or a 2. Warboard works with both and understands which one you're using. So I'm going to click Save Report, and I'm going to save this to my desktop. MEP versus Structure, it's called. It's done. So there it is, created there. So now if we go back to Warboard, what I'm going to do is upload this to Warboard. So if we go to Clash Tests, Upload, and I'm going to put 10,000 in here. If you want to know what this bit is, again, if you watch one of my previous webinars, I'll explain what attributes are. You can click here and find out about them. But you don't need to use them. For the sake of this, I'm just going to put 10,000 in there and click. I'm going to click MEP versus structure and click upload. Warboard will then push that information to the cloud, and you can see it's finished uploading. And it'll send us an email when it's ready to be reviewed. Hopefully, because there was only 3 issues, I can just refresh and it'll be done. So you can see there's 3 issues in Warboard. Now I'm not getting any charting in here because to get a chart you need to upload at least twice on there. So what you'll see is if I go to members, let's just invite somebody else to this project, and I'll just invite Ben Malone, and I'll make him a member of this project. He'll now get an invite to this project. And he will have access to it as well. So what I'm going to do now is go and view those issues. So 3 issues exist, was uploaded on this date, etc. So we'll go to Clash Tests, MEP versus Structure. You can see it's brought in the name we called the clash results, and I can click View. And what that will do is take us to the issues in context. Now what I can do in here, and you can see it's pulled through all the information, I can go in and assign these to somebody. So I'll assign this to Ben. So it's got to be done by next week, and it's a high priority. What I can also do is add a comment. This looks really cool. Obviously, very rarely you'd put that in a clash report, but this looks really cool. We'll just go and kind of add a comment to this one and all. We'll assign this one to me, and I say I'm going to solve it next week, and it's going to be low priority. And this looks really bad. Now, of course, this is the collaboration process. So once this report's uploaded, everyone will get notified who's involved on this project. They can all log in, look at the issues, comment on them, etc. If I now go to Overview and I click View Report, you'll see it produces that full-blown report with those issues, with the information assigned to them, etc. So you can still print a report. But one of the really cool things about BCF is you can export back out into the native authoring software or software that each design team member is using, because they might be using all different bits of software. So what I'm going to do now is just go back in Solibri, and for the sake of this, I'm just going to delete this presentation, and I'm going to go and reset my model. It'll take a second because Solibri is quite slow on this machine for some reason. So all I'm doing now is I'm just deleting what I've just done, just so I can show you how that information comes back in, for want of a better word. I'm going to go and do that when it finishes thinking. It's better. And let's go and pull all that information back. Just turn everything back on there. Cool. So if we now go back to communication, we've got the full model, but there's no issues in here. So I might be the information manager. I've found the issues. The design team have all commented on those issues, but actually viewing those issues in a report, it's a bit difficult. Where's that issue at? It's at grid level, it's at here, etc. But I don't know what to do with that issue. What you need to do is view that issue back in context. So what you can do with BCF is, you can see on here, there's an export. And if I export these to BCF, now bearing in mind, we've just been at comments, we've assigned those issues to people. All that information is going to come back out with this BCF. So I click export BCF. It says it's getting ready to be done. You'll get an email when it's ready. Again, that should be pretty instant. So if I now go to my email client and go to, there you go, export complete, download BCF. What that will do is, there it is there, downloaded, and it's downloaded to me download, showing folder, double check, to me download folder. So we can now shut that down, and we can open up Solibri. So what I can do here is add a new presentation from BCF file, click OK. Go and select that, where's that, downloads, MEP versus structure, click open. It'll then load those issues into Warboard, so you can see here they are here. And it actually brings through all the comments as well. So if I go to here, there you go. It also obviously has the 3D information, so it highlights that information in the model and all. So it's a really cool way of, once you produce the report, once everyone's commented on it, you can actually allow the design team members to export back out to BCF, load it into Revit, load it in Solibri, view those issues in context there. And again, you could add more comments in here and load it back into Warboard if you wanted to. It's that continuous sync process, which is really powerful. Now, I'll show you how this also works inside of Revit. So what we'll do is, we'll now shut Solibri down, and we will go to Autodesk Revit. So here we are inside of Revit. I've just got a little really ugly looking, very quickly 2-second sketch drop in there. So Revit doesn't support BCF out the box currently, so you've got to use a third-party plugin. So BCF Fire, which is this piece of software, is the one we use. It's free, it's kind of open source. You can go and do as you wish. It's on GitHub, but there's a plugin for Revit, and I think there's one for Navisworks as well. But again, I know there's other plugins out there and all. There's quite a few for Revit, quite a few for Navisworks. So I'm going to open up BCF Fire. And what I'm going to do is create a new BCF, and I'm going to call this, I'll just call it, yeah, just leave it as that. So what I'm going to do now is zoom in on a problem. And I'm going to get BCF up, and I'm going to kind of add a view. I can go and kind of annotate it up if I want. So yeah, do that. Done that. Save. It'll kind of see to put it on there. I'll add that to the view, and I can put this as description. So I'll put this as 001 window looks bad. So there's one issue. So I'm now going to go and add another issue. So we're going to go to the corner here, and we're going to add an issue here again using BCF Fire. Add an issue, and we're going to call this 002 corner not working. Again, ignore my spelling, you get the idea. Add a view. Okay, cool. There's 2 issues. We're going to create one final issue, is on here. BCF Fire, add an issue, add a view. Okay, that'll do. 003. This looks really sharp. Done. So we've created 3 issues, and you can kind of create as many as you want in here. Then what you can do is you can save this. You can also open BCF, but I'll save this back as I'll call this Revit BCF example. There we go. So that's created to me desktop. So what I can do now is go back to Warboard. This is Warboard. And I can upload a report again. We're going to just put 15,000 attributes. Select zip. A zip is the BCF zip, so Revit BCF example. Open. it'll upload that. Again, it'll say it's parsing it. Because there's only 3 issues in there, let's press refresh and you'll see it's now kind of brought in that second clash result. If I go to clash tests, it's in there. I click view, it's brought them through as well. And again, same as before, I can go and assign this to people, etc. If you're using the same, what I would say is it looks like it's deleted the other ones. That's because this is coming as a new set. If you went back into Solibri, added more issues to it, then re-imported it back into Warboard, it doesn't just kind of forget the old ones. It knows it's come from the same set, knows what's new, active, and resolved, etc., and it maps all that automatically. But again, what's also available is you can go back in time if I want to and kind of view that old one as well. So there's lots of ways you can work with BCF. One of the big advantages of BCF is that being able to round trip that data. So you find issues in whatever software you want, whether that's Revit, Solibri, Tekla. You produce a BCF file, you upload that to Warboard. Then the team see the issues as soon as you upload it, because you get emailed. You can comment on them, assign them to each other, or you can assign them to people. You can produce nice reports and issue them. And then what you can do is you can print the reports. But the really clever thing about BCF is you can export that back out to BCF, which means you can load that back into the orphan tool. And when you do that, it takes all that, all those comments with it. It takes all that data with it that was added in the cloud and shows you that in context back in the design software. So it's a really easy way to actually view those issues in context of the 3D model. So that's a very quick introduction to using BCF with Warboard. Again, we have got native Navisworks integration. So if you use Navisworks, you don't need to use BCF. What you can actually do is you can just upload your Navisworks XML in a zip file, and it will kind of pull through all your clash sets. But what that doesn't allow is that exporting back out. So if you use the BCF workflow, you get that extra benefit of having that two-way sync. So thank you for your time. This video will be put on YouTube, I think. Any questions, if you contact us at hello@warboard, and we'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.